Baylor, part of what we do with them doesn't do any advertising at all
The Baylor,
under the administration.
Let's go back and look at that, because that's something, I'm glad you brought, I want to talk to y'all about that just a little bit. I think that's something that we, yeah, it's under admin.
Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. I think it's something we ought to think about in terms of
Totally
what
agree.
value we're getting from Baylor. There's a quarterly fee in there. We're no longer using much of their purchase services, so I think that's a conversation that we need to have, and maybe we need to have it with Bruce, put it on the agenda and have it with Bruce sometime to see if that's something that we want to continue. The sign is nice. I don't know what the sign does for us sometimes, but that was kind of the concession that Baylor made whenever we were looking to them for some sort of affiliation, is that we paid for it, but they allowed us to put a sign out there to show an affiliation. We do have an affiliation.
Why are we not using the purchase services?
We got better contracts through other purchasing agreements. Yeah.
What was the incentive to go with Baylor to begin with?
It was the purchasing contracts primarily. Well, the way it started out with them is we used the UPL program, the upper payment limit, a little bit like, and that's what's been replaced by the 1115. And the way that would work is they paid certain of our expenses. They paid our emergency room physician, they paid our anesthesia contract, they paid our senior care psychiatrist, and they paid maybe one other. But they would pay those, and then we would UPL with IGT money up and share it with them. They canceled that contract some 2 or 3 years ago. So that's why we started out this affiliation. It was a way for us to participate in one of the government programs, which was then replaced by the 1115 program. And the other thing is that when we started out, their purchasing agreements provided us with pretty significant savings. But as it's evolved and as other purchasing groups have come out, we've been able to use other contracts that have better pricing than Baylor. What really happens with Baylor is we don't get take advantage of all of their volume, only portions of it. So it started out as a really good program. I'm not sure what it provides for us right now, just being honest about it.
I will say anecdotally, from a provider standpoint, I've had a handful of patients who have said that they have chosen to come here because of that affiliation, but it's not a substantial number. And our affiliation at this point doesn't make it easier to transfer patients from the hospital or the ER. It's not like we call Baylor and they're like, oh yeah, boom, send them. Quite honestly, in the ER, it's easier to send people to Harris.
And we've had that discussion with Baylor, and Bruce is very supportive of that, and
Bruce has been very, very helpful for me personally when I've called him and needed something. He's always gotten me names and phone numbers, but he's been, I think, more supportive than the system. Their transfer setup is just unwieldy. You end up having to call individual facilities, whereas with Harris or with Scott and White, I think Baylor's got to catch up with their partner. You call and they find you a bed in the closest available hospital that's appropriate. So, I'm not sure that from a provider standpoint there would be any outcry to reassessing that relationship.
well, I think we sort of live by the I guess the term, can we live without it? I think that's one of the things that we ought to think about.
33,000 annually is significant.
A lot for a sign.